Welcome back to the Skylanders Ultimate Nightmare series, where I will play a solo run with every Skylander on Nightmare mode to see which Skylanders and which of their upgrade paths are best. Starting out here, we've got T-Rex on the Lumbering Laserer upgrade path. This grants him the ability to charge up the Photosynthesis Cannon for more damage. The Photosynthesis Cannon blasts through enemies and explodes for more damage, and vaporized enemies turn into exploding plant pods. Vaporized enemies being those who are killed by the charge-up Photosynthesis Cannon. Speaking of which, when you do charge up that move, it deals 100 damage, which is pretty huge for how short of a time it takes to charge. I really like this attack on T-Rex because it gives him some really good range, and while the Shockwave Slam itself does have really good range, this allows you to shoot even further, by a lot. Now, T-Rex is of course a giant, which for our purposes means he's going to have a lot more health and be a lot slower and get hit by many more attacks. Like here, when I try to pick up this rock, I didn't see the Drow Lance Masters coming in. Now you may think having a lot of extra health is super useful, but the enemy damage numbers on Nightmare mode are nasty. At least in the later levels when they start getting closer to their full power. The supercharged vaporizer here, as you can see, can actually hit above ledges if they're short enough. The move's splash damage is just large enough in order to hit up there. That move is fantastic for single target damage, but when you need to hit a lot of enemies at once, Shockwave Slam is the way to go. It has insane range, good knockback, good damage, and is not too long to perform. It's particularly useful here because you can knock these enemies off the edge. None of T-Rex's moves are quite long-ranged and fast enough to be a fantastic option against the Goliath Drows. When they put down their shields, you need to hit them quick, and when the shields are up, you need to run. And T-Rex does of course have his own mobility move in the Sequoia Stampede, and while it does improve his speed, as a giant he's going to be slow no matter what. It also has quite a bit of recovery on it, meaning once you end the move, it takes a bit of time before you can do something else, and thus slightly fails as a mobility move in that aspect. Because if you use it, you need to get away from something, and so forcing you to not be able to do anything is a big downside. Anyone want to let me know how the heck this Executioner hits me? Probably just because I'm a giant. Against these Executioners, I never seemed to be able to find a spot that I could stand where both of them would just sit still and let me fire the Photosynthesis Cannon at them. They kept teleporting everywhere right on top of me, attempting to swing, then I had to run away, and the next one came up on top of me, and there's nowhere safe to go. I did eventually find an opening without dying, thankfully. Thanks to my big stature, I got hit one extra time and brought me down super low on health. Thank goodness there's a life elemental zone here. This allows for the Shockwave Slam to just take out everyone really easily, clearing the level on super low health. Now the Ice Bowl I'm very scared of. T-Rex does of course have the Sequoia Stampede as mobility, but it's not the most reliable as I was talking about. But what is reliable is the high damage he can deal with this upgrade path. Okay, I know giants are big, but how the heck am I stuck on this? The snow pit should be pretty doable as long as I use the same strategy as before, where I use my high damage output to kill an Executioner before they become a huge threat. I wasn't able to fully enact this plan, but I did get far enough so that one of the Executioners died soon and the other one followed quickly after. I was able to keep the armored Mohawks at bay by shooting over and over with the Photosynthesis Cannon's triple shot ability, and this made the ending of Chapter 5 surprisingly manageable. In Chapter 6, I was able to climb up onto this slope in a weird way, which allowed me to shoot lasers up on top and hit these Archean Jousters from up there. They can of course still attack me, so it's a little bit risky, but separating these guys from the Bark Demon up ahead makes that section significantly more manageable. And even without a ton of room to run around, all you gotta do is wait for the Archean Bomber to help you out. Bark Demons are another one of those enemies where you have to wait for them to attack, dodge it, and then hit them while circling around them the whole time. T-Rex doesn't quite have the best moves for this because none of them are super fast to start and stop, but if you can just wait long enough, our best friend the Archean Bomber is going to come in to help again. Archean Jouster Bridge is usually a really big roadblock in these runs, but T-Rex's move with the Arm Slam can hit all three at once, or two with the other one stuck. But anyways, he's able to distract all of them, not letting anyone get a hit in. The vault control platform is just a little bit too small to comfortably run around, especially as a giant, but fortunately I had brought high health into this area so I was able to survive it. The upcoming shield juggernaut, however, I accidentally killed the Archean bombers. This caused me to have to wait a really long time in order to find an opening because that arm slam attack has deceptively long range. Finally beating the curse of chapter 6, we move on and find ourselves in the Willikin village. The first really difficult section is the introduction of grenade generals. My strategy here was to just kill everything really quickly so I can spend the least amount of time possible with these guys. The photosynthesis cannon being able to blast straight through enemies becomes really useful right around here. There's tons of guys on a super narrow bridge that I need to kill, and as soon as the grenade generals wind up, I run straight in so that they'll hopefully miss me and I can kill them before they throw again. But let's not forget the big thorn shockwave slam. This thing can hit almost all the enemies in the room at once sometimes. I take a big hit from the bark demons here. Immediately afterwards though, they did start to kill each other, making the rest of that section easy. And the Chompy Mage I'm gonna skip over because they give you free heals, and also the boss fight plays out exactly the same no matter what character you're playing. In these runs I like to highlight the differences, the strengths, and the weaknesses of everyone, but Chompy Mage is just the same. And it helps that it's really easy as well. Chompy bots are very similar to the big enemies we've seen before, where you just dodge their attack, circle around them, and get hits in while you can. But this guy has a stomping move that'll get you off of him if you're standing right on top, and they have much more health than I always think they do. My strategy for the falling field here was to just run straight ahead, dive into the grenade generals, and get rid of them as soon as I could. It's about time I mentioned T-Rex's soul gem. He's got a woodpecker pal that joins him, and it swoops over, attacking enemies whenever you're near them. It can notably go through the Inhuman Shield's defenses and take them out super easily. It's also quite nice to have for when you just need to run away from enemies and you don't get a chance to attack them yourself. The woodpecker will help you out. Nearing the end of the level, there's tons of low health enemies, so I make sure to use the arm slam attack to get all of them down at once. Normally, the Chompy Bot and Inhuman Shields combo is kinda deadly, but the Woodpecker comes in clutch to kill all the Inhuman Shields without me having to do anything, and then one Chompy Bot on its own is not super difficult as long as you're patient. The Castle Green section of Chaos's Castle is the first difficult part of this level, although it's nothing compared to what's coming up next. It contains mostly stuff we've already seen before, so we're gonna deal with them about the same way as everything else. But what's surprising me is how quickly T-Rex has actually been able to kill everything, and not just because of the elemental zone here. As much as I like to pick up and throw rocks, the strategy for the Troll Stomper is to hide behind that rock as his bullets will hit them instead of you. It's not a foolproof plan though, because the Grenade Generals can always screw up your day. And now it's time for the Great Hall. Tons of waves of enemies, many of which being Grenade Generals. The area is not super big, and you only get one piece of food. Very near to the start of this encounter, I ended up making a mistake and dove straight onto a Mohawk Cyclops who was spinning, taking me down to 1 or 2 hits away from death. The Archean Cracklers themselves are not a huge issue because they can't attack you unless you walk up next to one of the clones and hit it, but the combination of them taking up a lot of space and Grenade Generals throwing grenades down at you can restrict your movement a lot. If you're trying to use Sequoia Stampede to run away from a grenade, you might accidentally hit a clone of the Archean Crackler and take a big hit of damage. I really liked the Lumbering Laserer upgrade path for T-Rex, and it was somehow enough to take a giant up to 2nd place, tied with 3 other Skylanders currently. And now for the second run of the day, we've got T-Rex's Treefolk Charger upgrade path. This is going to allow you to perform an elbow drop while charging. It makes it so you can charge longer, faster, and deal more damage, and it deals even extra damage. I see a lot of T-Rex players using this upgrade path. Maybe it's because they like the brawler playstyle with T-Rex, where you go in close to enemies to deal damage and you leverage your high health in order to get hits on them. But in Nightmare mode, that is not really an option. The health pools compared to enemies' damage is just way too low, even for giants. Either way, I don't really see the appeal of the elbow drop. As it is fun to perform, it kinda is outclassed by the slam in many ways. The elbow drop has a deceptively small range and misses quite often for me. while the Shockwave Slam does more damage with better knockback, and you don't have to fling yourself forwards with a long recovery time in order to use it. It doesn't even tremendously help with the speed problem. One of the upgrades, as I mentioned, allows you to hold out the move for longer, which you might think helps you get away from situations easier, but it's super hard to turn while you're using it. Most arenas are pretty small and round, so this isn't gonna really help you get super far away from enemies most of the time. One positive of this upgrade path, I must say, is that T-Rex has special animations for when you get a kill with primary or secondary attack, so it is super satisfying to get a kill with the elbow drop. It's just a little difficult. It is also more likely that Woodpecker Buddy will be helpful on this upgrade path because you need to dive near enemies in order to use the Sequoia Stampede, and that is right in the range that the Woodpecker likes to be at. If you're sitting far away firing lasers, then the Woodpecker is going to have no available targets. Except for the fact that once the Woodpecker locks onto a target, he'll tend to attack more enemies near them rather than coming back to you. So you only need to get near the enemies every once in a while, and the enemies tend to want to get near you anyways. Overall, T-Rex is super fun. He made it way farther than I ever expected. Any Tree Folk Charger enjoyers, please let me know if there's something I'm missing about this upgrade path, but I feel like it's outclassed pretty much every way by the Shockwave Slam and the Lumbering Laserer.